again. So you just heard from Burcu. She was one of the hosts of the previous digital storytelling conferences, and she will be now the host of this short session in her kitchen. Again, if you go into the Smithsonian Learning Lab, it is the direct link to a recipe.
Thank you very much, Antonia. And also thanks to the whole team for adapting this idea. The idea of this social event comes from, the inspiration comes from a movie from the other side of the Aegean coast. And this connection is very strong with us, you know. I will start with that. Why Humus story? Humus story is a part of my story. But also it's a story, it's a recipe that I haven't experienced preparing up until a later age. And why the kitchen? Kitchen is the central space for our digital storytelling workshops. And also it's one of the most chaotic spaces. So what I will try to do, the original plan was I would be preparing this while talking. So later I decided that it would be better for me to prepare a small video. So I'll be sharing that while talking. And it's upside down because I'm not very professional with this video thing. And amongst many things, I prepared it. Today was a rush day anyway. So this is a part of my kitchen. And the hummus story is, it's a recipe of this land, but I learned about it in our trip to Antakya, Antioch. It's a city in the southern eastern part of Turkey. And I haven't been there up until the first digital storytelling workshop that we facilitated in the scope of my PhD thesis. And my colleague, Şengül is just a fan of meze, and hummus was just an item very common to her. And we tried hummus in that area several times, and then it was a little bit later than I decided to try preparing it. And that dish also helped us to connect with the migrants we started working together when the huge migration started from Syria with the internal conflicts. And now, as you know, we are almost hosting 5 million Syrian refugees in Turkey. And our work extended to food and food cultures, where we gathered in the kitchen, but we will be talking about it later on. But with this recipe, what I realized in my personal history is that chickpeas was always very common during my childhood in the household, prepared as a dish with meat and served with pilav, which is a rice dish. But this pilav thing also connects me to Michaelis as a story, because that's how we get connected through a digital storytelling conference that we have been talking about. It's a part of this hummus story as well, because borders and the politics sometimes set people apart, but stories make them come together again. So our story with Michaelis was a getting together story, and it's a hummus story as well. I remember that very moment in the conference. Şengül and I was standing right across the door, and I saw our Professor Memaris and our Greek colleagues entering the hall And all of a sudden, I had this beautiful-hearted person coming to me saying that, Burcu, here we come. And from that moment onwards, actually, the story between the two sides of aging cost started as well. So I still owe a promise to him, but I believe in my lifetime I'll manage to have some words of him published in Turkish. So Humus story is a cumin story as well, a very common spice in this geographical region. You can use it with various dishes. It's a very strong one, but it gives also the feeling of commonness. Just adding a bit of garlic connects this hummus recipe to Mike's recipe as well. I don't use garlic, but he just told me that I'm using garlic. Your recipe is lacking garlic, because it's the very personal things we add up in the ingredients. So this hummus story connects Logora in a different way now. And getting us together in the kitchen with pine kernel, olive oil, the hot spices, we taste life. We get connected. And it's my very, very wish that we come together and have great dinners, meals with stories. That's what we need, I guess, in the time that we have done everything online. And I recall all those moments that we had the chance to spend together. And I think this is what meals are for. They are not only for our bodies, but for our souls, for our stories. Thank you very much for listening.
That was great. That was great. Yeah, that's one thing I don't like of Zoom, that you cannot share food.
And believe me, I tasted it. It's one of the best I have ever prepared.
Yeah, and I see there is an ongoing competition with Mike. So when we have the face-to-face event, we should do a tasting session and see. Yeah, that's great. So thank you all for facilitating this wonderful opening of the conference and prompting questions and thoughts about different types of stories, different environments. We are now ready, I think,